Hi there, Elise Dewsberry here from New Musicals Inc. And this is the 98th vlog in my series, How to Get No Feedback from Elise. Today I'm going to talk about the twist song. The twist song is a song in which the hook or the repeating line of the song changes over the course of the song. Either it changes the actual words a little bit, just a little bit, or another way to do it is that the words stay the same, but they take on a different meaning over the course of the song. This is a kind of a progression, and we talk about progressions in lyrics, meaning some kind of a structure that leads you through some kind of a process from one end of the song to the other. And it's a really useful way to focus the story of a song. You can check out some of my other vlogs on progressions, or you can, of course, always go and check out our fabulous lyric lab that was designed by our lyric lab designer, Scott Guy, and really gets into details about progressions. And there are many different kinds of progressions, pronoun progressions, time progressions, geographic progressions, all different kinds of ways that you can organize a lyric over the course of the structure of the lyric so that it delivers some kind of message. A twist song is a variation on that kind of on a kind of a progression in which the progression happens through the changing of the hook. So if you're writing a standard kind of AABA song and you have a line, either the first line or the last line, it's usually the first or the fourth, but it can appear anywhere in that A section, is a line that would repeat every time that A section comes around. And in a twist song, that line will change. Sometimes it'll be the same for the first two A's and it will only change the third time. Sometimes it'll change a little bit each time. And then, as I say, it can either be because the lyric actually changes a little bit, or because it starts to mean something different. So the example that I'm going to use today to explain a kind of a twist song is from the musical House of Martin Guerre by my Canadian friend Leslie Arden, not the Schoenberg and Bouville version. A little bit harder to track this one down because things don't always travel over the border all that well. But let me tell you a little bit. I want to give you some background of the story so you'll understand what the setup for the song is, and then I'll explain how the lyric works in this song. So the song is from the House of Martin Guerre by Leslie Arden. It's based on a true story that was written by the judge who presided over the legal case that actually took place. This took place in 16th century France, and the judge actually left a journal from the 16th century of France. It's about a young woman in a very small village in France. Her name is Bertrande. She's married at the age of 11 to a young man by the name of Martin Guerre. He's unable to consummate the marriage, and he runs away. And she has to live with his family as someone without a husband, but he hasn't died, so she can't remarry. 8 years later, a man shows up in town claiming to be Martin. Bertrand then makes a decision to welcome him back into her life, and she gently sort of coaches him on everything that he needs to know about their past lives together. They wind up being very happy. They have two children together. He starts making changes about how things work in the town, which his uncle-in-law doesn't really like very much. Or yeah, I think is it father-in-law? Whatever. Another 8 years later, the real Martin Guerre actually reappears in town. He's been at war. He's lost a leg. And the imposter, who we now know is named Arnaud, is brought up on charges that could result in his death. And this was the trial that was recorded by the judge. Now, we don't know the story that I'm telling, so the background of it is the way that Leslie wrote the story. The judge, of course, didn't know all these details. He only knew what he asked them, not necessarily what was really going on. So the question about in this show about is what really happened. Did Bertrand know? Did she not know? That this was not really her husband. How did all of this come about? And the Schoenberg and Bouville version of Martin Guerre, which I believe is just called Martin Guerre, deals with those things a little bit differently than the House of Martin Guerre does. In the House of Martin Guerre, it's pretty clear, without being stated overtly, that Bertrand does know, because we see him coaching him about the names of friends and family and that kind of thing that he needs in order to continue to be seen by the villagers as Martin. So once he gets arrested and he's put on trial, there's a scene in Leslie's version where Bertrand goes to visit Arnaud in jail. And she basically wants to tell him that she doesn't want to continue in that lie, that she didn't know about it. She wants to support him somehow. But he insists in this meeting, she must denounce him. She must say that she did not know that he was lying, and she must denounce him and say she's going back to her husband. And the reason that he insists on this is because he knows that if she admits that she knew that he was an imposter, then she will also be liable for the same punishment that he is. If she was, a co-conspirator, then she will go down the same as him, and he wants to save her. He feels like there's no way he can save himself, but he at least wants to save her. So the song becomes an argument about whether she should, how they both feel about this fact of whether she should say that she knew who he was or not. The song is called No Life at All. I'm going to play the song for you in a moment with the lyrics going by. So for this, I'm just going to sort of explain to you what it is you want to be looking for. So in the beginning, in the first part of the song, Arnaud is singing to her about the life he had before he met her. We find out at a certain point that he was a soldier friend of Martin's. They were in the war together. And the reason he knew as much as he did about the family was because he had been at war with Martin, and Martin had told him stories about his family. He thinks, in his favor, he thinks that Martin was killed at war, and that's why he decides to go and take over his life. Turns out to be wrong, of course, but the idea is that he thought he was dead. So he starts out the song talking basically about, you have no idea what kind of a life I led, that I didn't have a good life, but you need to know these things, and you need to know who I was, though. And for instance, he says he was a man of sin, and that he gave into vice and all that sort of thing. So he's telling her all about the life he led before. And then he didn't have a purpose to his life before he met her. And the end of that whole sequence, he sings, "The life I led before, Bertrand, it was no life at all." And so that's the meaning of the word there in the song, No Life at All. The meaning is, I had this terrible life before I met you. The life I led before, Bertrand, it was no life at all. Then Bertrand comes in and says, yeah, but you don't know what I went through before you came. And it was locked inside of me because, things were not good with my first husband. And then I spent so many years without anyone. And it's been so wonderful since you came, sort of thing. And then she ends her section by saying, the wife you never knew, my love, she was no wife at all. So now we have that slight change. Instead of it was no life at all, it's she was no wife at all. Wife you never knew, my love, she was no wife at all. So right away, we get a variation, a twist on the hook. Okay, then they sing the B section, and then they start to sing together about, it doesn't matter about what happened before. We're going to stick together now. Somehow we're going to get through it together. And they come to the decision together, singing together. For one thing is true, a life without you would be no life at all. So we go back to the title of the song in the original hook, No Life at All. It's not, it was no life at all. It's slightly changed to would be no life at all. But now it has a different meaning, right? Because it means that everything is wonderful now. And if it were different, if I had to live my life without you, it wouldn't be worth living. It would be no life at all. So we get no life at all with one meaning, then no wife at all, and then no life at all again with a different meaning. So Leslie manages to use both versions of the twist here. A slight change in the lyric, but also where the same lyric, no life at all, takes on a different meaning because of the context of the song. So having explained all of that, what I'm going to do for the rest of the vlog is I'm going to play you a demo of the song with the lyrics along with it so that you can hear it for yourself. And I leave you with that you can have a look at this example of a twist song. I hope that you enjoy it very much. So, thanks, and toodaloo.
What have I told you of the life I led before? The life I thought I'd left behind? What of the boy who brought his family only grief? Their pride and joy, who was a liar and a thief? No, don't go. These things you should know. What of the cunning man who ran away to war? What of the road he traveled blind? He lived a life of sin and called it paradise. A life of giving into every sordid vice. No, there's more of the life I led before. Days were filled with warring, and we called the cause divine. Nights were filled with whoring, and with pouring out the wine. Had enough exploring of the life that once was mine, and of the man who calls you wife. The man for whom you will insist you risk your life. If there was any reason, any purpose to my life, I can't recall. The life I led before, Bertrand, it was no life at all.
What have I told you of my life before you came?
You told me everything.
I coached you well on each event.
Bertrand, there is no need.
But what was locked inside the woman all those years? What of the lonely bride, the emptiness, the fears and despair? These I never share. What have I told you of the anger and the shame, and of a lifetime so misspent? I spoke of waiting for a boy who wouldn't stay, but not of hating him or wishing him away from my life. You know nothing of your wife. Quietly complying on the day that she was wed, stoically denying any tears were ever shed. 20 years of trying not to wish her husband dead. Is this the woman you adore? The one you're willing to risk everything for? Her husband off at war, and every day she prayed to God that he would fall. The wife you never knew, my love, she was no wife at all.
Put it all behind you. What is done is done. Once you've traveled through the storm, there's no need to return. Memories can blind you like staring at the sun. Sometimes they can keep you warm, and sometimes they can burn. When does it matter how we lived our lives before? Now with our backs against the wall. Why should we dwell on how a lover used to be? I know I love you now, and that's enough for me to see this through. For one thing is true, a life without you